and then we look at design
Okay,
sprints
I
for
think
today.
last week. Okay, last week, just a recap from last week. We talked about what design thinking is, and William explained to the team as a philosophy, a mindset, and a toolkit. Stages in design thinking, which is empathy, definition, ideation, prototype, and testing. And we defined empathy as a who are we solving the problems for, who is the customer, and this could be either external customer or internal customer. Do we know them? What are their problems? How do we identify with their situation? And then we went on for the definition, which is uh, we need to define the problem in the customer's environment or context. Here we are focusing on the root cause of the problem using tools like interviews, personas, workshop, observation, and etc. to help us define the very problem of the customer. And we also then we went to ideation, where we start identifying options for the problems. That's a solution, possible solutions to the problem we have identified. We develop multiple ideas and prioritize these ideas using Moscow. That's a must have, should have, could have, or would have technique. And William also mentioned the Kano model, which was designed by Dr. Noraki Kano of Tokyo University in 1980, 1984, thereabouts. And the model it's also a scoring model, and it's a framework designed to prioritize features based on the degree to which they are likely to satisfy and delight our customers. And this, we have to evaluate a high satisfaction feature against the cost to implement to determine whether to add to the roadmap. So we are over here determining whether we need to put in the basic features, the excitement features of the product, the performance features of the product. How is it going to satisfy the customer? Do we have the funds, the resource to be able to implement this? So we evaluate this. Then we go to the next stage, which is prototype. We create an initial product that the customer can start using for quick feedback, also known as quick wins. Then I think the last on the model is testing. This is where we continue to test the product and debug it until we finally meet the customer's need. So this is what we discussed in a nutshell in the last week.
Yeah, thanks Sam for taking us through the initial discussions we had last week on what design thinking is. There's also another area around design sprints. Whilst we think of design thinking, there's also design sprints, and these two go hand in hand. How does a product owner, how does a business analyst, how does anyone within transformation apply design thinking and design sprints to help improve the entire process? Today, I would like to look at it from a product owner, product manager, and more of a business analyst perspective. And whilst most of the skills and the tools, the techniques that you find design creatives and UX houses would use to help design or come out with a solution that would help them deliver an expected outcome to the customer, the same tools and the same skill sets can be used by product owners, business analysts to help them deliver such solutions. So what is design sprint? Design sprint is considered as a step-by-step 5-day system for solving problems and testing big ideas. A step-by-step 5-day system for solving problems and testing big ideas. That is design sprints. Design sprint is a step-by-step 5-day system. So we've talked about design thinking. In this particular session, we are talking about design sprints, a step-by-step 5-day system for solving problems and testing big ideas. It was originally in a book written by Jake Knapp, and Jake Knapp was working in Google. In 2016, he wrote the book, and whilst working at Google, they were looking at ways at which they could solve problems by bringing in all the experts, and all the experts will contribute within 5 days so that they can get the optimum solutions. And it's something that's really worked well for digital products. How can we bring design sprints into our work as product owners? So let me look at the case where I'm a product owner working on a product, and possibly a product owner business analyst. How can I use design sprints? In using the process is considered a 5-day step-by-step to solving a problem. As a business analyst, you will not get all your stakeholders to come into a workshop 5 days. But if you were working with a product owner or the project manager, a project kickoff meeting could allow you to start thinking about some of the steps we use within design thinking to help you elicit and gather your requirements to help the teams. So within the 5 days, the key things the teams will look at in the 5 days are: one, on day one, you want to bring everyone together so that you can discuss the problem, you can discuss the challenge, and in discussing the challenge, everyone contributes. And there's that element of making sure that those who are not so confident about the process, you get them involved. So the first part of day one is to make sure that everyone contributes into understanding the big problem. The second part of the day is to ensure that people sit on their own in silence to bring out possible solutions that we can go ahead and start testing. So day one is defining the problem, identifying possible solutions to help us creatively start working on options that would deliver optimum outcomes. That is looking at day one. Monday, day one, can we look at the challenge and start mapping out the challenge to find optimum solutions. So the beauty of it is, for a product owner, business analyst, we go into workshops, we get everyone contributing into the process. We don't have time to have silence, to just get the team sitting down and finding optimum solutions for the discussions. In using design sprints, when you have your first workshop, the first part of the workshop will be to discuss the challenge, bring everyone on board to discuss what the problem is. Let's agree on the problem as we all know it. And then let's use 20 minutes to get everyone to spend time sitting down to understand the challenge and talk about possible solutions. So day one is understanding the challenge, identifying possible solutions, and we now allow the quiet people to also spend time to write. So the good thing about design thinking is those who are so confident, those who are salesmen who can sell their way out into every option and sell every solution, don't overtake the whole process. We allow those who are quiet as well to contribute. So if I were a business analyst and I went into a workshop, after the first 45 or 1 hour of conducting the workshop, I'll say, guys, let's spend 10 minutes in silence, working alone to identify options. And you should be able to bring in post-it notes or have whiteboards so that people can go to the whiteboard and write down their options for the solution. That would allow you, after the 10 minutes of silence, to bring everyone back together. You've got multiple solutions, multiple options. You can now start refining the process. How do you start refining the process? One, you can identify which solutions are similar and group possible solutions together. If you've grouped possible solutions together, you now move on to the next stage of ranking the possible solutions. Here you can use your Moscow prioritization. You can use the Kanu analysis, as some talked about earlier, and it's ranking all the possible problems that possible options that were identified by the team in silence. One thing I know we don't do as product owners, product managers, business analysts is to have the teams work in silence. But when you work with design creatives and in the design day one, they spend some time working in silence. Everyone identifies and mocks up a prototype of the solution. So day one is to identify the challenge, identify multiple solutions. Day two, what do we look at? On the Tuesday, we've prioritized the possible options. The next area is to start prototyping. So day two is all about mapping the story and prototyping the possible solutions. Yep. Day two is creating the customer journey maps and prototyping the solutions. We do this quite a lot as product owners. We do it quite a lot as business analysts. We conduct customer journey maps to understand the entire journey. And then we create prototypes. And all these prototypes would help us in aligning with the challenge we identified in day one and the possible solutions we identified from the day one discussion. The whole of the Tuesday on day two is spent on prototyping. So as a business analyst, what have I done? The first step is I've tried to identify the challenge. I've taken people into workshops, spent time with all the stakeholders. And as I've spent time with the stakeholders, I've been able to get them to identify an understanding of the challenge and then identify the possible solutions. Day two, which will be the next round of interviews or workshops I could conduct, is to get the prototypes out to the stakeholders and start seeking feedback. If I can get the prototypes out to the stakeholders and start seeking feedback, it will enable the teams to start understanding the customer's perspective. As we said earlier, design sprint is a step-by-step system for solving problems and testing big ideas. So we focus on solving the customer's problems and testing big ideas. If we can't solve the customer's problems and test big ideas, then we are not delivering the customer's expected solution. We are not being customer-centric. Day three is about creating the prototypes. And the prototypes could be digital, they could be physical, and anything that we can use to start getting feedback from the customer, we start creating those. As a business analyst, your focus could be, I can get everything out, or I can get all my stakeholders out in 4 days to run a design sprint, which will include all the experts, the various stakeholders, and of course, there will be so much arguments, but you can do it in various stages where by a month or 2 months, you've got your prototypes, working with the designers, working with the developers to create a prototype. You want to go out quickly and work with your users to test your prototypes. Can I get my users to test my prototypes and give me feedback? So you create your prototypes on day three, and then it could be a mock-up, usually a mock-up, and then you want to go out and get feedback. In the feedback process, you want to identify your core users, those who would definitely use the product, and seek feedback from them. So reflecting back on a business analyst product owner role, not wearing the head of a design, creative designer, UX designer, or user experience designer. My first workshops, are to understand the requirements, understand the challenges. Part of that is to help identify multiple options. Day two was to select the options that we've prioritized, start creating customer journey maps and prototypes. Day three is to create the prototypes and get them out so that the various users can start giving us feedback. Day four is to test. So we can see testing has become a big part of the entire journey. Testing, testing, testing. So as a business analyst or product owner or product analyst, or you working in an agile team, testing is a big part of your work. And creatives use testing to help them improve on the solution. If you don't test the solution, you can't get feedback. So therefore, we test our options, and the moment we get feedback, we can go back and improve it. And it's like still using the concept of the minimum viable product. I've got my minimum viable product out. Can I get feedback on that before we start going away to start producing it to the customer? And it uses, again, the Deming approach. Plan, do, check, and adjust. Plan, do, check, and adjust. Within design sprints, they say idea, build, launch, and data. So you have the idea, you build the prototypes, or you build the idea. When you launch it, you are testing it and getting data back so that you can improve the entire process. In James Knack's book, written in 2016, the focus was to do this in 5 days. It can work well if you were in a design creative house where your customer is willing to come to your office, work with you for 5 days so you can get an expected outcome for them. But as business analysts, product owners, we don't have that luxury. So we could take some of the nuggets within the design sprints, bring them together over a period of time to help develop optimum solutions for our customers. We can't have that luxury of getting all our stakeholders 5 days and the customer to test and to work on the problem, identify multiple solutions, create prototypes, test them, and move through the stage over and over. We can do them over a period of time. So we can also apply the design sprint mindset as we go along as product owners, business analysts, product team members within building a product or building a solution. So we've talked about design sprint. Whenever you hear about design sprint, it's a step-by-step 5-day system for solving problems and testing big ideas. It really helps us to build better products and innovative products and solve customer problems. Currently, we've got Design Sprint 2.0. Instead of making it the 5-day process, it's been reduced to 4 days, and we are using all the tools involved to help improve the process. Any questions on the design sprint we've discussed?
Can you please, ma'am, go over the order again? First day, and you should want to make sure I've captured it. First day, second day, third day, fourth day. Or should I try and say what I've got?
So say what you've got and let's,
okay.
Yeah.
So on the first day, I've got define problems, identify potential optimal solutions from discussions. So you're looking at the first workshops and discussing the problems. And the second day, you start prototyping and mapping the potential problems. That's the whole day event spent on prototyping. Then on the third day, you are creating the prototypes. I think the idea here is to identify the core users, take it over to them to gain feedback. And the fourth day is to test. Test your options to gain feedback, but everything is obviously based on the MVP. Then you apply the Deming principle of plan, do, and adjust. And
plan, do, check, and adjust.
Plan, do, check, and adjust.
Yeah, that's in summary what the entire book is all about and how teams have applied it. Monday, let's define the challenge. Let's identify some options and solutions. Tuesday, let's vote and start working on some customer journey maps, creating prototypes. Wednesday, let's develop the prototype. Once we've developed the prototype, Thursday, we can go out and test the prototype, get feedback, and we are improving the process continuously. Any additions or any questions on what we've discussed?
What do we do on the 5th day, please?
We have fun. So on the 5th day, which is the Friday, we've gone through the process, we get feedback, we celebrate, and then we go through the process again if required. But at least in those 4 days, you've got an optimum possible solution. You can now work with the development team. Remember, on day 3, we created prototypes. We've now got an optimum solution. We can now gather more requirements and build it to meet the customer's expectation. And in the 4 days, you don't get to build an entire big system. I think this will work very well when you are building digital products. But when you are building large cyber-physical system, it will help create an understanding of a part of it, not the entire part of the system. So as a business analyst working on an ERP or CRM, I'm only working on a part of the entire solution. I can apply the design thinking principles over the period and help deliver the outcomes for the customer. So if I put behind my mind Monday, or when I started, I need to understand the problem, gain consensus, get everyone on board to identify options. In the next stage of my process is to start understanding the customer's journey, understanding building prototypes so that I can use the prototypes to verify what I have done previously. Wednesday, I start creating the prototypes. So over time, you start creating the prototypes and then you test the prototypes. Once you're testing the prototypes, it helps verify your requirements and it helps you understand that you are working in the right path. You are testing with your customers, and that's what would enable you to robustly check your requirements so that your requirements would work when you deliver the solutions to the customer. So it will work well in a creative house where they have the 5 Ds, but as a business analyst or product owner, product analyst, product manager is something you can use over a period to help you build working products that deliver value to the customer. Yeah. Any questions? So far in our sessions, we've discussed design thinking, we've discussed design sprints. In the follow-up sessions, we would only be looking at the tools that are used in the entire process. We've got the IBM design thinking course that if you're interested, I could ask Sam or Isaac to send you the link so that you can also continue on the design thinking journey. Why do I think design thinking, design sprint is important? It's becoming a new wave that if you're a business analyst, product owner, we're expecting to see that in your CV. And we want you to have that fair understanding of what that is all about, where you can apply the tools, the skills, and be involved in creating solutions that deliver value. It's no more just being a flat BA. You need to be a cross-functional BA that can help teams deliver value. Yeah. So if we've not got any questions, have you got any questions?